the law of chains says that your chain's only as strong as your weakest link. So you need to make sure that your links are fortified. Sometimes, going back and spot checking your links is a good thing.
The whole purpose of this show is to engage with business owners and be able to answer questions for people that will give them some insight and perspective on how to grow and scale a business. Not only leadership, but real life examples. This is the golden moment. I would do business with you right now.
All right, so we're moments away. Brandon Dawson.
Right. Hey, Buck, how you doing? Welcome
there he is.
Everybody
Okay,
to
here he
10X
is.
Owners Live on this beautiful Tuesday. How are you?
Hey, we're across
Can you
the
hear me,
coast
Buck?
right now.
I know you look good in that studio. All right, let's do a vote. Whose studio looks cooler, Buck's
Strike a pose.
or Brandon's? Well, it doesn't count. I wasn't talking about the supermodels. I was talking about the studio.
Oh, the actual studio. See, I put since tonight was about team goals. Since tonight was about team goals, I thought we put our team up on the screen behind me so we can see the 10X team behind me.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you get the benefit of two studios across the country. This is great. So welcome to another episode of 10X Owners Live. Obviously, we are talking about the second part of how to find, attract, align, retain, and develop remarkable people, because it's a people game. Is that what you just said, Buck? Did you already tell them that?
That's exactly right. Yeah, because last week we really talked about personal goals, setting your own personal, professional, financial goals. And so this week, Brandon, I mean, we're all curious. What are some of the biggest differences between you setting goals that matter to you versus setting team goals and setting team KPIs?
Yeah, that's a great question, Buck. So, here's the thing, I can't sit and talk to a group of people about their ability to accomplish their personal, professional, financial goals working with me if my goals aren't big enough that there's room for them. So this is really super important, because if my goals, let's just pretend for a minute, my goals was to get my business to $1 million a year revenue, and I wanted to make $300,000 a year of income. If I'm meeting with my team and I have 10 team members who all have goals to make $250,000 a year working for me, how's that fit?
Not going to work out really well.
So like it doesn't. So what that means is they have to leave to accomplish their goals. So as a business owner, I want to put my goals out there. I tell our team at Cardone Ventures, look, first 5 years, we're going to get to $100 million in revenue. And that's to build a team. And that's to build a team of about 200 people. And of the 200 people, using the rule of three, there'll be 60 leaders. Using the rule of three again, there'll be about 20 VP levels. And then using the rule of three again, there'll be 6 or 7 executive level people. And so now all of a sudden somebody can go, oh, in the next 5 years, I could be one of the 20 or one of the 7. And now I say, okay, once we hit 100 million, then we're going to start all these different companies, 10X Health, Cardone Equity Group, 10X Buy Sell, 10X HVAC, 10X Landscaping, 10X this, 10X that. And then by starting those new companies, we're going to go from 100 million to 1 billion. And using the rule of three, I'm going to need to build teams in every one of those 10X companies that can build teams. So if you're part of my 200, I'm going to use that as the farm for executives to put into all these new companies. And that's where you in years to make $5 or $10 million in net worth, just like I did with Mason Walker. So now you see, I have a very connected story that allows people to start planning their goals inside of my goals. And the story's big enough that people can see themselves succeeding inside of it. But when your story's they can't see the other than being small. And so it, as an obligation and commitment as a business owner, you need to have a big story, or people will be programmed to stay small. They'll learn not to expect a lot because the story's not big enough. And this is why people get trapped, and it's why they get disgruntled. And this is why Gallup poll surveys 100 million workers in the United States every single year. And out of those 100 million workers, 2/3 are disconnected, or 18% of those 2/3, of those 100 million, 18%, 18 million people are actually admitting that they're sabotaging the company because they're so miserable. They're pissed off at you for not giving them an opportunity to succeed. So goal planning with your team is going to be directly relative to your belief lid about what you can do.
Hey, Brandon, two quick questions.
So if you don't want to lose people, you got to paint a big picture. Yeah.
I want to go back to the very beginning because you said something and we kind of skimmed right over it. And there's some questions that are already coming in. By the way, if you've never been here, click reactions and then raise your hand because we definitely want to answer your questions. I see Priscilla has some great questions already. But you mentioned this is why it's important that owners shout their goals out, that their team knows how big those goals are. I'm shocked and amazed when we meet new business owners that don't understand your structures and processes. I'm amazed at the amount of owners that hide the financial information of their company. So can you talk just briefly about why it's important to have transparency in finances and goals and KPIs and all those things in the company?
Yeah, there's two reasons that I've experienced in my career why people don't want to talk about their revenues and how much money they make. Two reasons. One, they're afraid that their employees and everybody else will be upset because they're feeling like they're being cheated, so they don't want to tell them. Mm-hmm. Or two, they're so small, they're embarrassed. I've never met a business owner that's been so proud of what they've done. They hide what their success is. Like it's either because they're afraid that people will be like, hey, if you're making all that money, why don't I get any of it? Or they're embarrassed. Because anybody who's proud of what they've built should be talking about it. Anybody who's trying to show their teams they've got capacity in their business, so their teams want to stay and learn with somebody who knows what they're doing, they should talk about it. Mm-hmm. So either you're embarrassed by it because you're not sharing it, or it's small. Nobody wants to talk about anything small.
So Priscilla actually hitting us off with a great question. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So nice one, Brandon.
Like your feet.
That's right. Just like my shoe size. I knew that's what you meant. Priscilla has a great question. What if your story is so big, it scares your team? Is that the wrong team, or are you presenting the story the wrong way?
Now, here's the thing, guys. I mean, look, it's one thing to have really super high belief. And you have to have that. I've never met anybody that's been unbelievably successful with a low belief. Mm-hmm. How you communicate that belief is really super important, because if you don't have the credibility yet, and you're notorious for making big, bold claims, but not putting anything behind it, or most people have been taught not to believe people with big, bold claims. So you don't have to, like for me, okay, I have the credibility. I can talk about $1 billion. There'll be people that probably won't believe me when I talk about $10 billion, but I have the belief because I have transparency into exactly how to get there. Now, inherit $100,000, or you should probably be talking about $1 billion. You don't need to do that. You could be talking about $10 million. When you're at 10 million, you could be talking 100 million, because people will be, wow, you got to 10 million. I believe you. Mm-hmm. So you may have the belief, like people will say to me when I'll go, So after, you see this, you and I see it all the time about 10X 360. Someone will
Right.
go in their 10-year goals and they'll say, I will $100,000. So, and we're like, okay, a little bit of reality in order to presentation. So you don't need to go from 200,000 to 2 million to 20 million. That's a big enough jump. So once you into credibility, you can increase those numbers. Yeah, my connection's in and out. I guess that's just the internet here, huh? Sorry, guys, we're working on this new studio.
Yeah.
If everybody could see Dimitri, I'd say give Dimitri a round of applause. That guy's been busting his ass in the studio all day trying to get this stuff set up.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with the internet. We're gonna need hey, Dimitri. Let's get a hard line in here, an optics.
Yeah. Good idea.
Okay, so if I cut out, Buck, you jump in.
I got you. Go for it. You were saying everyone at the 360 always comes in and
David says they lost the key. Yeah, David said they lost the key point. So the key point here is if you're talking too big of numbers, look, if I'm sitting here at 500,000, I don't need to talk about 5 billion. I could talk about 5 million and then 50 million. So you just need to keep it relative to something that's reasonable for people, because you got to understand, even if you believe it, most people, the general premise is people will believe it when they see it.
right. So
you gotta,
so
someone
Brandon,
just
something
asked,
that
what is your
happens,
credibility level? What is my,
something that happens often, if you can still hear me, something that happens often is you get those business owners that have low belief and they're like, I want to do an extra million this year. Maybe if I'm lucky, they have this low belief, but then you also get the flip side. We do meet people that are like, I'm 10X, I'm going to do 100 million this year. Like, great. How big's your business? They're like, well, I haven't really started it yet. Like how do you know where to think 10X, but be realistic about what is the goal? And how do you know what's thinking too big, or is there such a thing as too big?
Yeah, there's not, thinking too big is not unreasonable, but it doesn't mean you need to look, I tell people to go in increments. So if you're 100,000, talk about 1 million and then 10 million. You don't need to go straight to 100 million and 1 billion and 10 billion. If you're zero, you can talk about 1 million. Talk about 100,000, then 1 million. You don't need to push it so big and so high that it's not digestible for the people around you. I was just reading Karen's comments. Actually, I would not boast about how well my company is doing because my competitors, come on, look, everybody, I'm just going to give you a peace of mind here. Your competitors aren't going to change their behavior because of what you talk about. Like, none of you have competitors. The only competitor you have is your ignorance or your ignorance. There's no other competition. If you have high belief and you're taking care of your team and you're developing your operational effectiveness and you're developing your leadership skills, there's no such thing as competition. There's 30 million businesses in the United States. You don't even know who your competition is. Amazon. Your competition are organizations that are so big that they're in front of your customer all day long and your customer doesn't even know it. That's your competition, because they're going after their mind share. So you're worried about somebody on the corner down the road from you. They ain't going to do it to you. You want to brag about how big you are. If I was sitting there, I'd be telling everybody I'm the biggest guy in town. I'm growing faster than anybody else. I got the most revenues. Why? Because I do the best job. Come see me. So hiding the ball and protecting it means you're either small or embarrassed. It does not mean that you're trying to be strategic. No employee wants to work for someone who says, don't go out and tell anybody in the community how well we're doing.
Yeah, Brandon,
it makes no sense.
What's the best advice you could give a business owner who is sort of new to the team structure? They've got 2, 3, 4 employees, like they're really in that first breakpoint 1 or even before breakpoint 1, what's the best advice you could give an entrepreneur, an owner right now on how to set up team goals, how to set up goals across multiple departments and facets of people in their organization?
Yeah, well, I talk about the rule of 3, Buck. For a business, if you use $250,000 to $500,000 of revenue ahead, which you should, no one here, if you're watching this, you're new to this show, you will never make money if you're $100,000 of revenue or less per head. So businesses that are profitable do about $250,000 up to $500,000 of revenue per head. And then there's a lot of questions about how you calculate, but that's why you got to come to our program. But just use that number, 250 to 500,000 of revenue per head. You got to develop 3 leaders. If I'm working by myself, I want to develop 3 leaders, and that pushes the business to $1 million at $250,000 a head. So I need to know if they're really leaders, then I shouldn't be able to do the average up at $250,000. So I'd go from 250, I'd stretch to 500,000. And then I would show my team, here's how much money you can make by helping me do that. So I'd be promoting that. Everything has to build and multiply off of the rule of 3. So you go from you to 3, from 3 to 9, from 9 to 27. When you get to 27, you've got a very successful business. 31.5 million small to mid-sized businesses in the United States. 25 million have a single employee. 5.3 million have between 2 and 12 employees, and 600,000 have over 12 employees. So 98.4% of all businesses have less than 12 employees, between 1 and 12. So the hard part there is then building beyond a handful of people that you can control. And there are a lot of businesses go, but I got 20 employees. But yeah, you're doing 100,000 of revenue per head. Ooh. So you're doing $2 million. You're going broke. You just don't know it.
Ooh, that's always a tough lesson. Hey, Brandon, we've got hundreds of business owners here tonight that I know are looking to get straight. They're looking to get their goals locked in. They really want to get your advice. They like the proximity that they're getting from you right now. I want to tease, if I could tease for a moment. Do I have permission to tease everyone? I would like to tease a little something special coming up February 7th and 8th. If you could Bryce, just show us a little video clip. Everybody watch this. This is coming February 7th and 8th. Anybody know what this is? Anybody know what this is? Oh, a couple people do. Yeah, yes, Frank, it is golf, but it's very special. This is the Waste Management Open. That's right. Autumn knows the Waste Management. This is the supreme PGA event. And these are private 17th hole private seats that Brandon Dawson has reserved for a very special occasion. February 7th and 8th, we have a mastermind with Brandon and special guests in Scottsdale, Arizona. How many of you need proximity to someone like Brandon? How many of you need the mindset for 2022 to blow your business up to the next level? How many of you want to ask very specific questions about setting team goals? Then this is going to be the event that's going to set the tone for the rest of the year. So Bryce, if you put the QR code up, here's the simple instruction for you to join us and get just a little bit more proximity to Brandon. Scan this QR code. Pull out your phone right now. If I don't see you pulling out your phone, at the very least, pull out your phone and scan the QR code right now. Here, I'm going to do it with you. I got to check my marketing team's work. Make sure this thing actually works. Here we go. It opens up. And does it take me? Yes. Schedule the mastermind call. Get the answers you need to the problems and challenges you're having in your business right now. So make the appointment, set the time to lock in your private seat. So you're going to have some intimate time with Brandon for Q&A. And then you have a half day too, where you're going to be able to experience the actual PGA Waste Management Open. We've got very special select private seats. This is $9,997. This is $10K, February 7th and 8th, Scottsdale, Arizona. You are going to get the proximity to power, live Q&A. If you're not able to answer your question tonight, and you just have those burning, you have 3 or 4 burning questions, that's the investment you should be making right now. It's $9,997 to get to the waste management private mastermind with Brandon. And there's always amazing special guests. Whenever Brandon does a mastermind, it's a real special moment. We don't do many of them. So this is one of your opportunities.
Yeah, in fact, Buck, I'm still confirming who that special guest is, but I will tell you, So here's the deal. We're going to do the mastermind on the 7th,
Right.
and we're going to do a half-a-day mastermind on the 8th. And then
Right.
we're going to go out to the 16th hole, which is the number 1 hole in the best suite on that hole. And we're going to watch the Pro-Am, I believe it is, on the 8th. Or maybe that's the 9th. Anyhow, look, guys, we're still working this out. But what I can tell you is that I've got 2 or 3 guests that I'm talking to about coming in that are unbelievable. And Buck, I didn't know you were going to show that, because guess what? The guests that I'm talking to, I was going to make it 25 grand, because they are the top in the world at what they do. But you know what? You already threw it out there. So,
Okay. All right. Tonight only.
So that's
tonight
okay.
only.
Yeah, look, I'll honor anybody that wants to pull and grab that seat. I'll honor it, but quite honestly, it may very well in the next 2 days go to a $25,000 mastermind.
Wow.
So I've got a couple thought leaders, authors that I might have flying in from very special places for this group of people. So if anybody that's thinking they want to participate with that, it's $10,000 tonight, and then it's probably going to be $25,000 the next couple of days. So anyhow, we'll look. It's about helping you guys, and it's about being able to help you build your business and understand leadership and understand how to engage your people. So anybody that wants to participate, we'll honor it tonight. You can talk to the team about it, but don't be surprised if you don't choose to move forward with it, and then you think about it later. Don't be surprised if the numbers are a little different.
Don't have that regret. Don't have that regret. Hey, you want to jump to questions, Brandon? We got a lot of hands up right now. You want to do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's kick off with Ryan. Let's go to Ryan, and then we'll go David. I see Pat's got his hand up. Ryan, welcome to 10X Owners Live. Get your questions answered. This is your 1 hour a week where you just get direct access to Brandon.
Sweet. Brandon, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How you doing?
I'm never better. I just have a question. So I've hired a 10Xer. I've hired them out of their business to come and work with me. What would the first thing that you would do with that person, knowing the mindset of someone that's 10X and that's been building their business and so on? What's the first thing you would do with them? It was their first day today. So.
Well, I guess if they had a business and left the business, then I would understand why maybe they felt the need to leave their business to join your business. Mm-hmm. And what they were looking for that they didn't feel they had the ability to do themselves, because you want to make sure that you build into people's strengths and you create value where they feel like because if somebody had their own business and said, I'm going to pivot and go into your business and go to work for you, there's a reason they didn't have the confidence to do what they were doing where they're at.
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Makes total sense.
So you need to identify what that is, and then you need to hone in on that and give them that confidence, because otherwise, does that make sense, Ryan?
Yeah. So how would so another question would be, just to piggyback on that, it's like, how would I position that conversation in such a way that it's not putting her down or being argumentative? Like, I can't go out there and be like, how come it?
Well, so,
you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, but you guys need to understand, like, transparency is without transparency, you're already in trouble. So I would just say, hey, when you had your business, what were the areas that you felt you were really super strong in, and what areas were, when you look backwards, do you think that you could have used more help in to propel your business forward? Like what? Because I want to make sure that now that you're here, I focus on the things that help you succeed. I don't want, you thinking, oh, this is like when I had my business, because we're not talking about it. So I just want to make sure we're aligned and we're on the same page. And first of all, if you frame the questions right, you shouldn't be making them feel like you're putting them down or letting them down. I mean, they made the choice to come work for you and bail on what they were doing. So, and the other thing is, I'm just going to tell everybody, look, I'm going to be completely transparent here, because I need you to think about it. You know, I think we interviewed, Gabby said we interviewed, I don't know, like 1,000 people or 1,100 people in the last quarter of this year. And a lot of them are 10X community people. And so this 10X community is remarkable, and people are persevering and they're excited. But, you know, it's just like meeting someone who's going to, Buck, you said it earlier. It's like meeting the person. It's like, I'm going to have $1 billion business. How much revenue are you doing now? Nothing. So, you know, you get a lot of people that have this really excited idea of what they're going to create, but they have no foundational direction on how to do it. So I tell you this, Ryan, because you now have the obligation. You hired someone, they're working with you in the business. You need to make sure that you're the leader that sets them up for remarkable success, which means they need to know their strengths. They need to know their weaknesses. You need to know their strengths. You need to know their weaknesses, and you need to develop them into strengths. Mm-hmm. And not just assume because they're part of the 10X community and they're excited, they're going to understand how to do that themselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's really
so
great.
I would start the conversation with, now that we've aligned, let's sit down and figure out how we can most be successful together. And what things do we need to do together to ensure that we crush it and we represent at the highest level what 10X stands for, and then collaborate and work together. You don't need to suggest she couldn't figure it out on her own, but you need to suggest that you guys need to figure it out together.
Yeah.
Does that help, Ryan?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
Appreciate you being here, man. Thanks for being dedicated.
Awesome.
I see you here every Tuesday. Thank you.
Oh, no problem, man. No problem.
Absolutely. Let's head over to David, who's been.
And when you guys are
waiting.
hiring anybody, look, here's what I would tell all of you. If you're hiring anybody, you should sit down, and Ryan, if you haven't done this, you need to do it right now. You guys should sit down and do a 30, 60, 90-day onboarding plan and have what their contributions need to be, what those results look like, what you're going to do to train them, get them up for success. And every single day for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you need to be going back and forth with them on what's working, what's not working, and what things they need to work on, because most people have never been trained how to succeed. And that's something you guys got to work on together. But you should never hire anybody without a 30, 60, 90-day onboarding plan.
Awesome. David, let's go. What's your question for 10X Owners Live? We'll unmute you here in just a second.
Yeah, read the book Teamwork by Natalie. She'll tell you. Teamwork actually, I think, tells you exactly how to onboard somebody.
It does. Here it is right here, by the way. Go to cardonventures.com/teamwork. Hey, David.
Hey, Buck.
What's your question tonight, friend?
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah. So it looks like for January, just a win. Since I've been working with you guys, it's just business is really going well. So we're on mark, right? If I close these 2 deals, which I think I will tonight, we're already at 220,000 for this month, and there's still 2.5 weeks in the month. So really, really amazing. But it puts me at a point where I am knowing I'm going to need to hire someone. And my question is, I'm trying to figure out who I want to hire. So my question is, is this the time to take 30% of what I've documented and processed of what I'm doing and hire someone to fill that spot? Or would I look to hire another project manager?
No. So listen, guys, what allows you guys to be great, you need to do that. And then you need to hire people around you to do the stuff you're either not doing or you're wasting your time on, so you can do 3, 4, 5, 10 times more of what you're doing. So,
okay.
So like I don't need to go hire somebody to be Brandon Dawson. I need to hire somebody to clean up after Brandon Dawson. So you know, Dimitri's been slaving away getting this whole thing set up in here, and you know, carrying all this heavy equipment around and connecting dials and putting buttons and, you know, shit together. I don't even know. I probably push the wrong button and blow the whole thing up. But
you for
you
sure.
know, I don't need Dimitri doesn't need another Brandon he's got his hands full with the Brandon Dawson he has. So what you got to do is you got to like find people around you to support you and to augment you, to help you so you can do more.
Okay.
Awesome.
All
right, who we going to, Bryce?
Owen?
Let's go to, let's pull up Owen. We got Owen with a question on 10X Owners Live. Hey, Owen.
G'day, how you going?
Great.
Hey,
What's
Owen.
your question? What's your burning question that's going to drive another million back into the business?
Well, more than a million. So pretty much I've doubled my business in the last year. And I've probably done an org chart, probably need to hire around about 10 to 15 employees. So just to fill spots. So what's the way that you've done that before in business is to hire a lot of people quickly?
What's your question, Owen?
Yeah, your mic.
How do you
Are you far away from the mic? It's a little hard.
might be far away from the mic there. Does that work better?
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So doubled the business within last year. So gone from 7 to 15 mil. Looks like we're going to potentially do another 7 mil on top of that this year. So need a lot more people and need them quickly. Looking for about 15 staff. So what's the easiest way to onboard staff quickly and find those staff?
You need to go through. Have you ordered Teamwork yet by Natalie?
No, I have not. I'm on Amazon about to buy now.
Yeah, order that, download that book and rip through that. That'll tell you exactly. The other thing is you need to not only just, you got to make sure you shore up with the people you have. So you got to make sure you start doing personal, professional, financial goals. What kind of business are you in, Owen?
We sell steel structures through Victoria market. So we will expand Australia wide, but currently just in one state within Victoria.
Yeah, good. So look, you need to make sure that you get the current team shored up and aligned, because if you keep stacking with that kind of growth and you don't have the foundational elements in place, because now your business system works. So what you need to do is identify leaders within your current teams that you have. So when you hire new people, it isn't you trying to do anything. You have maybe how many employees you have now?
26.
So of the 26, you need 6 that are responsible for 6 different areas of the business that you're going to work with. And then when you hire those people, they get parked underneath them for their relative area. And then you start working with them and developing to make sure that those 6 are all working together, and they're working together for the bigger picture. And every person they hire underneath them is learning how to do what those 6 are doing with you. So you're at a big enough stage now, because you're going from breakpoint 3 to breakpoint 4, which is 15 to 25 million. And at breakpoint 4, the top end of breakpoint 4 is where you need to. So in breakpoint 3 is where you really got to get your processes and your leadership dialed in. And then that'll push you. You'll accelerate to breakpoint 4. And then breakpoint 4 to breakpoint 5 is 25 to 45 million. That's where you're going to have to start deploying some additional technologies and stuff. So the tighter your processes are and the better your leadership team is, the faster you can accelerate between 25 and 45. So you get that dialed in with the growth you're having, you will hit 50 million in 2 years. But if you don't put those foundational elements and fortify around it, then it'll collapse on itself.
Awesome. Owen, hope that helps you
So
tonight.
also, Owen, if you've never read, Owen, just for a point of reference, so you download Teamwork by Natalie Dawson, but also go to cardinalventures.com/emergency, or is it EBR, Buck?
You can do emergency. Go to emergency.
Okay. And that's my emergency business response, what to do in a crisis emergency. But
There it
if you
is.
read that,
Frank's
you
got
just
it
make
up
sure
there.
that, yeah, you just read that and you make sure, there you go, Frank. You make sure that you don't, that you're looking after the things I'm talking about in there. It'll help you in that race to 25 as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a great night,
Awesome.
Owen. Hey, Brandon, I was going to ask you, just kind of on top of Owen's question, what is the challenge in a business that it does have success and rapid growth? What's the liability there if you move and keep hiring people and you don't have those foundations in place?
Well, it's kind of like going down the highway at 100 miles an hour and all of a sudden you get a wobbly tire. You know, it sets you up for a catastrophic potential event. So you know, it's one of these things where you're only as good as your weakest link. And Maxwell talks about that. It's called law of chain. And 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. So law of chain says that your chain's only as strong as your weakest link. So you need to make sure that your links are fortified. Sometimes, you know, going back and spot checking your links is a good thing.
Yeah.
Don't just assume because the links were connected and tight early on that they haven't stretched or fractured or twisted. And then add to the links one link at a time and make sure you clamp them down and make sure they're tight. So you know, otherwise the implications can be catastrophic.
Wow.
And
Rachel,
and
we're going to come to you. We're going to
ahead.
come to Rachel in just a second here. 10X Owners Live. I see we have 50 new people that just joined. If you're brand new here, 10X Owners Live is for business owners. Brandon Dawson, CEO of Cardone Ventures, is answering your questions. You made it to the Q&A portion. We're doing a little Q&A. I did want to bring up Miriam and Alex real quick and just say congratulations on the new engagement, a new 10X couple following after that legacy of amazing couples, Brandon Dawson and Natalie Dawson. Grant Cardone, Elena Cardone. The world looks up to these two leaders, not just for business, but also how they exemplify what love and family and respect and all those things should be. So Miriam and Alex, congratulations. And I'll get your one question. This is my engagement gift to you. One question for Brandon Dawson.
Thank you so much. You guys are, this family is absolutely amazing and has done so much for us. If it weren't for this 10X community, we wouldn't have been joined in this union that we are now in. And honestly, after this happened, our business is exploding. So we're looking for hiring more people. The People's Essentials Workshop is a must do that taken probably 5 or 10 years off of the process.
Nice.
Of trying to figure out ourselves. So we're really excited about that. And this is something that is just, I absolutely love this woman. She inspires me every single day. So
thank you.
Yes.
I don't know what to say. Thank you. I love you too.
Our question is for when we're hiring people, we were wondering hiring overseas, what's like the process for hiring overseas? Should we be focusing on hiring people like in person more so, or should we be hiring worldwide?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, we're doing the same thing. We're actually in the process of hiring, you know, overseas. It depends on what you're hiring for, but rest of world, we call it, because some people aren't necessarily over the sea. They might just be over the border, right? So you know, and now the world's conforming to a new phrase, which is called remote work, which could mean you're anywhere in the world doing work on something. So I don't have any, I think it's highly efficient if you can hire rest of world for certain aspects of the business. But you're going to have dialed in processes, because it's hard enough for business owners to manage the employees in the room next door, let alone when they're thousands and thousands of miles away and on different time zones. And if your processes aren't dialed in and your automation isn't dialed in and your systems aren't dialed in and your scripting isn't dialed in, who knows what they're doing when you have them working on your behalf. So you need to hire very specific positions that you can monitor, you can audit, that you can, you know, see the quality of work. And then you need your onboarding strategies and plans to be really super tight, because otherwise you get loss of translation and you get loss of cultural translation. Like sometimes I might say 10X, let's go. And someone might be like, oh, it's so aggressive. So, you know, you got to understand how people feel and think and act on things. And so, you know, that's hard enough in your local business, let alone doing it around the world. But where you can find that leverage, it's really good to have it.
Awesome.
It was great seeing you guys this weekend too. Thanks,
Miriam. Thanks, Alex.
All right, so
All right,
Buck, I have a guest. I have a special guest that happens to be here with me right now.
Uh-oh.
So I'm gonna bring him up. He happens to be in the
President
the
Donald
office.
Trump. Here he comes. All right.
Almost,
Not quite.
almost.
Not
It was
quite.
Pat, but he looks like Donald Trump.
Oh, Pat. I didn't know Pat was in the office.
Hair's about
That's
the same,
awesome.
right?
So,
Very
cool.
cool.
You guys, Pat, I don't know, a lot of you might be new. This is Pat. Pat, you want to tell everybody who you are and where you're from?
Yeah, my name is Pat Morstead with Precision Landscape in Otter Tail, Minnesota, and got to come down here for a few days for People's Essentials and spend some time with some remarkable people. And I have a few more tasks that I have to do here this week, but the wonderful thing is it's keeping myself in and involved around great people and connected with that, and that it inspires me more every day. So.
It's always fun to have a friend here in the studio. You know, Pat was like a lot of you. Put first time, just put 1 in the chat if this is your first time ever on 10X Owners Live. I'm just curious.
Engage
how many
right now if
people
you're
we
here
have.
tonight. Put a 1 if this is your first time.
If this
Kelly's
is your
new.
first. I'm just curious.
Eson's new. Nick's new.
Jordan.
Jordan's new. Hannah's new. Chris is new. Lovey's new.
Lots of new
Patrick's new.
people.
Julia.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining. And we're excited to have you on the show. You know, I met Pat a year ago. He came through one of our events and we started talking about, he said, I'd like to grow my business. I've been the same size now for 10 years.
Yeah.
And he says, I've been paying myself the same money for 10 years. And I said, well, how much revenue are you doing? You know, I always ask that. He said, about $1 million. How much are you paying yourself? About $100,000 a year. And I said, okay, so do you want to blow that up? And then instead of saying yes, he said, but you don't understand my market.
Or my
He said,
wife.
You don't know what,
Or my,
you don't know
my
what I'm
wife. He
dealing with.
said.
Yeah.
You don't know what I'm dealing with. You don't know my market. You don't understand my business. How could you and he went into immediately all the limitations of why he couldn't succeed without asking me any questions. And so people ask me, how do you know you can help people? And the first sign of knowing if I can help people is if they've already decided there's no help for them. Because they're not looking for the answers, they're looking to be right.
Ooh, write that one down.
When you stop looking for the answers and you start looking to be right, you're pretty much trapped. And you got to remember the job of the subconscious is to prove your conscious right. It's to go out and find information and data to prove that whatever you believe is true, even if it's entirely false. And the reason I bring that up is I'd like Pat to kind of recount what's happened in the last 12 months since he started working with us. And I want you to write this number down, $1 million. So a lot of you'd be like, I'd love to build $1 million business. Write $1 million and then write 100,000. Those are 2 key performance indicators I want you to think about. And the reason I want you to do that is I want you to understand how fast things can change. So Pat, why don't you fill on what's happened the last year?
So we got connected with Cardone and Cardone Ventures and late, or maybe it was mid to late February of last year. And our numbers changed from that 1 million to 3.5 million. It changed from 100,000 to 500,000. But here's the other caveat. So we spent a lot of money with Brandon and his team. But here's the factor. We paid all of that off. So we spent about 300,000 on that. And then we still ended up with 500,000 at the end of the year. So realistically, you take that number, that was about 800,000 then. So just about, well, call me a liar for a couple hundred million or 1,000, but we just about made $1 million. So think about that. Would you work with these guys to go home with a $500,000 bill at the end of the year?
So I think here's the thing though, like I talk about, people ask me, I talk about the 4 A's. So when you're struggling or when you're uncertain about something, accept where you're at or acknowledge where you're at and accept it. So don't resist it, just acknowledge it. Maybe I got resistance. So for me, I'll give you an example. This is a perfect example. I ended the year, I got married in October to obviously the remarkable Natalie Dawson now. And I worked out so hard and I wanted to be in the best shape. And then we got married and then we went on our honeymoon. And then October's like Thanksgiving's right around the corner. So I might as well like eat turkey. And then I'm like, Christmas is around the corner. I love turkey sandwiches. So I ate turkey sandwiches between November and December. And needless to say, I added a little bit of weight on me, probably 12 pounds or so. And so I came home right after New Year's. I told Natalie, I'm not drinking anymore for the next 4 months. And I'm going to start training every single day because I don't like, I knew I was out of alignment of what I wanted. So I've been training every morning. I haven't had a drink. I'm eating healthy because I have a very specific goal I'm going to get to. Well, in Pat's case, so that's acknowledge. Okay, I acknowledge that I was out of my rhythm. I accept it. I'm not going to resist it. Okay, it is what it is. I'm not going to fight why or what I should do about it. Then I take action towards what I want, and then as I gain traction, I attack it. And so I talk about this attack speed all the time. Attack speed is removing time from where you're at to what the opportunity really is. Now, why is this relative to the conversation with Pat? Pat was making $100,000 a year. So over the past 10 years, he made and paid himself $1 million. From all accounts, that's remarkable that he could do that and be in business for himself with his wife. Okay, now, but I want you to think about this. In 1 year, because he made a choice, in 1 year, he pulled 5 years of earnings forward.
Wow.
And this year, based on what we've got set for, because now we're managing the business. So we're setting his annual plan, his budgets, his forecasts, the compensation structures, where to go get the business. Like we're working side by side with him on this.
Right.
So this year, that number could literally become $1 million of income. So can you imagine in 2 years pulling forward 15 years of work because he made a choice to trust and to go all in, but he had to get out of his thick head that he was right. He had to concede. Maybe I don't know. And how much have you learned that you had all those false beliefs? Like, what are some of the top things where you're like, yeah, I shouldn't have thought that. Yep, I shouldn't have done that.
Well, I think the biggest one is not setting my goals high enough. I mean, that's the number one. I would say number two would literally be, taking our sales, and when we thought that we were doing good from that standpoint of okay to great to remarkable, it's really hard to be able to look at that and say, okay, well, we're at 3 million now. And then I heard you on one of the calls say, hey, remember, when you're at 3 or X million or whatever you're at, don't stop where you're at. So I turned around to my team and I literally said to them, I said, okay, we're going to 3.4. I came down and I platformed, and you guys told me you better be at 3.4. And I didn't even say that, but then that's what we ended up having to get close to. And the funny thing is we got to the end of the December, and if we turned around, we hit 3.4. And then from 3.4, we went to 3.53. So yeah, it's taking that action to everything. And action is probably the most important thing that you can do with the knowledge that he's giving you. I mean,
but we need a partner like we all do. So look, I can sit and talk about all sorts of things and talk about my experiences and build concepts. But if Pat didn't put himself in play, if he didn't decide to have humility, if he didn't decide to listen, if he didn't show up, if he didn't, this last People Essentials, he brought his team with him too. And now they're hearing it. Now they're understanding the bigger picture. So someone asked earlier, like, remember when they asked, like, how big a picture do you set? Your team, so you set a picture and your team's like, nah, we've never done that before. And then boom, you do it. So now your credibility with your team's really high. So now you go to your team and say, hey, you want to work on this with me to take it to 10 million? And all of a sudden the team's like, yeah, now they're excited. 2 great guys showed up with you this week. And they're like, how do we help take it to the whole nother level? So what happens is you gain momentum and start bringing people on the journey with you. They start getting excited and they start doing a lot of the work that you had to do, which is how you actually make your life a little easier, is when you get a team around you.
Right. Yeah. And you know, part of people have to look at the factor of, you know, do you want to just sit back and do all of this stuff yourself, or do you need to have that remarkable team around you? And it is truly about the people. The people move the business. You don't move the business as the owner. So look, I spent the entire day here. I came in, this is like my vacation day, the one vacation day I get a year. I came in to the Cardone offices here so that I could work on the business instead of working in the business.
And by the way, Trista called me last night. She said, you make sure his ass gets in the office and he gets something done.
100%. So, you know, but I spent time working on the numbers, on building an organizational chart to match the numbers, to hiring people, because after we spent all this time at the People's Essentials, I realized that we've got some weaknesses that we need to focus on. So then off of that, then I turned around and we worked on some of our job descriptions to fine tune those and make those better. So it's that action and moving forward all the time that keeps things going. Because if I'm going to go to where I want to go next year or 10 years from now, I got to keep moving.
100%. And for those of you, this is your first night, you know, he got to sit and listen to a whole bunch of people that have had this experience. And we're going to be featuring many of these people at GrowthCon like we did last year. And the stories are just so remarkable. I'm just so proud of the 10X community that makes the decision to create change and then starts bringing their team with them. When we see the team coming with them, when we know it's working is when the team's coming with them. So that might be a key indicator for a lot of you to think about. Should we bring Dr. G on? I see him. He had his hand raised last week.
Yeah,
too.
sure.
Dr. G,
Sure.
you
Real quick though,
Yeah.
Brandon, we've got breaking news, because I go ahead and show the waste management offer again for the mastermind. Because I offered it for 10K and it's actually a $25,000 mastermind. Brandon, we have your credit card right now, and we're going to cover the other half for anybody that signs up right now. Brandon's going to cover the other half.
I'm going to take it out of your bonus, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's coming from my bonus. Okay, it'll come from my bonus. I know a few of you asked for that QR code one more time. So this is the mastermind taking place February 7th and 8th. Get proximity, the same proximity Pat had to get that knowledge to grow his business, to get the new mindset that he needed to pull out of all those retractions, finding excuses as to why he couldn't grow. By the way, I love you, Trista, just so you know. I just want to make sure she knew that I love her. 10K, 9997, February 7th and 8th. And if you've never seen the Waste Management Open, the 16th hole is a remarkable experience. We've got a skybox that you're going to be able to participate in with Brandon and very special guests coming soon. This price will go up. It is going to go to 25K. So take advantage tonight of the 10K, scan the QR code and join us. Get on the call. You can see the link down there. Enrique's.
This is one time where I don't want you to sell. So, so pull that down. All right. So Dr. G, how are you, buddy?
Let's go for it. Dr. G, how are you, man? Welcome to Owners Live. There we go. We're getting you unmuted, Dr. G.
I think he's glitching.
I'm doing great. I'm out in the middle of nowhere in a basketball game, but I don't miss this, every week. So things are going fantastic. We just hired another employee. We're going to double this year based on the numbers and working with the SBU team. So can't appreciate that enough. I mean, it's the word remarkable comes to mind because you say it all the time, but it really is remarkable. The amount of talent that we're attracting. I mean, 2 years ago, we thought, how are we going to be able to come get to $400,000? Now we're looking at how do we get to a business worth $100 million a year. I mean, that's the difference in mindset. So thank you. I appreciate you for helping us with that vision for sure, man.
Awesome, buddy. It's good.
Thank you,
It's good to
Dr.
hear
G.
from you, man.
Absolutely. Let's go to Rachel, who's going to take us home tonight.
Rachel.
Go ahead, Rachel. What's your question on 10X Owners Live?
So we were talking about the breaking point for where we have to get ready to define our procedures. Would you recommend bringing in, like, I ran into a lady who, this is her consulting business. She defines procedures for you. How would you go about, like, is that even worth it? To, like, I mean, I don't read manuals. I don't know about you, but I mean, when it comes to processes, how do you like lay them down and like really solidify them? And then where does it leave room for like, this ain't working, or we need to, you know, improve on that?
Yeah. So why don't you read the emergency business response? Go to cardinalventures.com/emergency, download that book. And I talk about exactly how to structure accountability and also read teamwork, especially with hiring new people. Between emergency business response and teamwork, it will give you the framework for processes, because you can't duplicate or replicate anything if you don't, and people can't add value if they don't understand what you need them and want them to do. And the business can't succeed if the most important things that you're impacting in the business aren't being measured, because then you don't know if the quality of what you're doing is working or not. So you need to understand how to create process. We have in our programs, we teach everybody how to do that, but based on the nature of the question, just some very basic things. If you're going to be hiring, you need to be able to take care of. And if you read the emergency business response, you'll read what people don't do that causes them to get in trouble, and then don't do those things, do the opposite of them. And then Natalie teaches you how to put process together relative to people. So I would start definitely with teamwork and the emergency business response.
There you go. That's cardinalventures.com/emergency. You'll see that down there in the chat. And then the next link you want is cardinalventures.com/teamwork for Natalie's book. You'll want to pick this up, brand new. And the Audible version is coming out very soon, literally days away from the Audible version of Natalie Dawson's Teamwork. So Brandon, how do you want to close out team goals tonight? Anything you want to leave on the table?
So we have one more question. Sir, I can't see it on the board.
Sergey? Yeah, Sergey, let's go for it.
Yeah, hey, 10X team. Mr. Brandon, thank you so much. My name is Serge. I'm from Minneapolis. Brandon, we met you a couple of times in Miami. If you remember, I pulled my team in your office and you gave us 30 minutes. You converted our idea into a business. We're on a track to 30 million this year. You know, we started from 3, but thank you so much. You gave us.
But hey, remind me, when was that, and what's the business? Is it is this the business that you guys do the
Green 360? 360. Remember, you told us lower your operational cost and increase your property value. Yeah, dude. So tell me. You guys need to hear this. Tell them the story. The story, you know, I was like stalling Brandon. I was asking him, hey, can we go for a lunch or a dinner or something? We have this idea and we really need your help. And he's like, yeah, come on over. He made a slot of like 30 minutes for us during lunchtime. We came. He was like, by the way, guys, a meeting with me cost about 30 grand or whatever you said, 20. But you are, you know, you just gave us that advice that really, really transformed our company, our people. And, you know, as soon as we got home, we created that business. It's called Get Green 360. So what we're doing, we're lowering operational costs and increasing property value. Exactly what you said. Everybody just loves it.
So that was, I wrote it. I think I said, guys, this is your pitch.
Yes.
So a lot of you, so I have 10X pitch, and I teach people how to just cut to the chase. Remember all the conversation. And I'm like, get to the pitch. You lower operational costs, you increase property value. That's your pitch. You just tell people, what do you do? When people say, what do you do? We lower operating costs and increase your property value. That's it. Just go with that and then do the thing you're doing. So tell everybody what's happening with your business.
It works like a charm. You know, we went to a large multifamily conference and we presented our business there. And that's what we did. We said, we increase cap rate guaranteed. Ask me how. So they came, we got so much business from there. It's like unbelievable. And additional stuff.
Where's my commission check? Where's my commission? Pat's going back to Minnesota.
Hey,
he'll swing by and get it.
You promised, Brandon, to come to Minnesota. As soon as you come, hey, it's all yours.
So how much revenue have you generated off of that?
Well, we just started. You know, we had basically approximately 10 million in leads, in warm leads. So we'll be processing all leads that we accumulated this year. So, you know, in our humble estimation, are on the way to 30, about 30 plus. But I'm afraid we're going to over that. So, I mean, it's a
good. Well, then you need to be talking about partnering with Grant and I'll give you another half hour.
There we go. There we go.
And another thing, Brandon, what you did, you opened our eyes about buying companies. And so we're working on 3 companies right now. And it's been great. You know, we just, you know, we'll be acquiring probably 3 companies by the end of the year. HVAC company.
You know, you should be working with us. Be working with us on the 10X buy sell. Let my guys be a part of that so we can start looking at doing stuff with you guys. Absolutely. And we'll bring deals to you.
We would love to, and we'll be there in March in Arizona, so we will definitely talk to you about that.
Awesome, man! Congratulations! I love it. You guys don't understand sometimes how hard you make doing business. Like the one thing, that 10X pitch program I run, it's a 2-day program. I have an online version. I just saw it on there. We don't even talk about it anymore, but I think I created a whole bunch of videos and a whole process.
It's a 4-week series, covers the 8-step process on how to pitch, exactly like Serge did. And it's $1997. You can get it right now. Here it is. You can see it, $1997. You can start the process tonight on being a better pitch master, on telling your story and pitching your products. And that's exactly the method Brandon is teaching. I tell all of you, like, God, I forgot I even did all that work, Buck. I just saw that video and I'm like, when did I do that? So Scottsdale, yeah.
You think about this. We've closed 80 or 90 million dollars of the businesses that came through that program and track, because I tell them only track the no's and then let's go after the no's. Do you guys, if you brought your list of everyone that told you no, they weren't going to do business with you, and I showed you how to call them within a week, you would pick up thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or like Sarah said, you might pick up, $30 million. How you communicate your value proposition, and then the question you ask. If you're strong, you just make one statement, 20 seconds, you ask a question, you should be closing deals. All the other language and communication you use only gets in the way. Brandon,
thank you. And I do have a question. I think a lot of the business owners may relate to this. How would you suggest to handle top performing people that become toxic? For example, they disagree with certain processes in the company or certain, tools we're using, and they start talking about this to new hires, new employees or new people. And those people just become, unaware of the situation, and it turns them away from the management. How can we handle those people in the company?
If it's intentional, then it's really super, super, super easy.
Yeah.
You disengage them from the company. If it's unintentional, see, everyone take a piece of paper out. Here, we'll do this session real quick. Then you guys can understand what I'm saying. Take a piece of paper out, write a line down the middle of it. On the left side, you got 2 things: intellectual ignorance and intellectual arrogance. On the right side, you have intellectual awareness and intellectual curiosity. You identify which operating system that top performer is operating with, and you readjust them into bigger thinking. If it's ignorance or arrogance, you sit down and explain how things go, and then explain that they'll never get big. Because see, to your top performing guy, he need to pivot his attention from what he's doing to he's going to be able to train dozens of people and get an override on what they do, but only to the extent he follows policy. When he breaks policy, he becomes a liability, not an asset. So most human beings think their asset is the fact that they're the top performer, and then their ego gets involved and they want to tell everybody to do it their way because they think that's how businesses are built. But I would rather have a whole bunch. See, Gerber talks about this all the way back 40 years ago in E-Myth, that if you have the right system, it allows ordinary people to create extraordinary results. And you need to explain to your team members that the unicorn status is a liability in the company. The people development status is an asset to the company. And that when you identify what are the characteristics of an asset, what are the characteristics of a liability, and then how do you judge if they're an asset or liability based on their engagement. And then you show people, make a poster, asset, liability, ego, arrogance, ignorance, self. Remember, I talk about self advocacy. So being a self advocate and all this, that's all liability, because it doesn't allow anybody to develop all the other future people to be the best version of themselves. And so they either need to be the example of that or they need to be gone. And trust me, if you execute somebody who is in ignorance or arrogance and they're not willing to conform, they're not willing to modify, they're not willing to adjust, they're not willing to recognize, when you get rid of them, somebody else will pop up and say, now I know you're serious. Thank God you got that person out of my way. And then they'll be the example of the person you want in the business because you just created an opportunity for them. And I'm just going to tell every owner here, never be afraid ever that you're trapped with a top performer, because once you have that mindset, your business is screwed forever. You become key people dependent and you stop leading. And that's a huge problem.
So true. Massive, massive value tonight, Serge. Thank you for joining. I'd love to know what notes you picked up, because there have been bomb after bomb tonight from Brandon. Great to see you, Pat, in studio. I think our first live client in the Scottsdale studio ever.
First time ever.
That's awesome. Brandon, anything you want to wrap up with tonight? I know there were a ton of takeaways.
Now, look, we have, so what's coming up, Buck? We've got the next thing coming up is boot camp.
That's right.
And then we have the 10X HVAC. So if you're in the heating and air conditioning space, we have a special event the day after boot camp. And then after that, we have 10X Ladies with Elena. And then we have the mastermind out here in Arizona. So a lot of stuff happening. And then, of course, GrowthCon in March. So look, if we all agree to put our heads down and use the next 90 days as a sprint to GrowthCon, let's blow this thing up. All right.
Let's go.
I appreciate you guys being here tonight. Thank you, Buck. Thank you, the rest of the team. And for Pat and I here at the studio in Scottsdale, Arizona, we will see you guys next Tuesday night.
Awesome. I know you've got a ton of questions, so I'm going to turn it back over to Josh and Enrique and the team to get all those questions answered. Like Brandon said, tons of events are coming up. We've got masterminds. We've got the Open, the PGA Open. We've got 10X Ladies, Growth Conference, Boot Camp, HVAC, chiropractic, whatever industry you're in. We have an event that's coming up special just for you. So the key is to take massive action, get connected, make the commitment, figure the rest out later. Guys, I'll turn it back over to you, and I'll see you next Tuesday right here on 10X Owners Live. Have a good night.
The whole purpose of this show is to engage with business owners and be able to answer questions for people that will give them some insight and perspective on how to grow and scale a business. Not only leadership, but real life examples. This is the golden moment. I would do business with you right now.
Hey,
do yourself a big favor. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell. Bang it.